Hi, it's me, Andrej, and I'm learning how to ride a motorcycle. Really. I actually took a motorcycle training course, can you believe it? Because usually I'm from the old school where you just rode motorcycles, simple as that. You had to ride them a lot, really a lot, and in all sorts of situations to actually learn how to ride motorcycles. We used to practice on those lots, and now it turns out you can actually train for sport and racing riding on those lots. And here we are on such a lot. It's amazing. This is the first place like this in Poland, so professional when it comes to preparing people for riding on asphalt, both at a sports level and really at any level. Because here we learn to control motorcycles, sense tire grip, and manage slides. To put it very simply, in a moment we'll talk to the owner. Why do people ride in a place like this? To ride more safely. That's one reason. The other reason is to have a bit of fun, to play around in controlled conditions and then ride calmly on the streets. And the third reason is to become a professional athlete. And Kamil Krzemień, the son of Krzemień Krzemień, you founded this place, is just such a professional athlete. And it all starts with a KO and a pit bike, and ends with endurance bikes, supermoto, and other high-powered, out-of-this-world machines. Because thanks to these trainings here and in Spain, it all started in Spain, and we'll hear the story in a moment. Kamil Krzemień became a rider for LRP Endurance in the World Championships, which aren't happening at the moment, but will definitely be back next year. Or maybe they will even be around later this year. As for the riding experience itself, it was really interesting, because I'm actually a bit afraid of small motorcycles. I know many people have underestimated them and ended up with minor or major injuries. So I approached it with a lot of respect and a great deal of caution. After 2 or 3 hours here with the other riders, it turned out that we stopped thinking about the bike sliding, or that things were a bit different instead. It was just throttle and having fun with all the different exercises. Why is it different? Because these motorcycles behave like the ones we know, but they do everything much faster. So they turn faster, they lose grip at the front and rear more quickly. They're just vicious little beasts. And interestingly, it's not like it's just a toy where you can just flick it around however you want. They actually require much more precision than big motorcycles, because they forgive a lot less. So you might bruise your butt, but it's better to bruise your butt in a place like this, and that's it. What we did was ride on a designated track, and then we practiced individual exercises. There are dozens of these exercises you can do on this training ground. It's about cones set up in different configurations, and when the cones are arranged in a certain way, we have various exercises, which often include racing elements. So for example, one person rides on the wide path, another on the narrow one, so that, as they say, we keep shuffling positions. Christoph, do you mind? Christoph Krzemień, good morning.
Hi, welcome.
Social distancing. Tell me, what kind of mine is this?
Well, yes, we have a mine next door, but that's exactly the point, to do this in a place like this, so that we don't bother anyone and so on.
It seems to me that this is one of the few places in Poland where there are no problems with neighbors.
Yes, there are no problems with neighbors. You know, we specifically looked for a place like this because, as we all know, at almost every track there are problems with noise, with loudness and so on. As you can see, here we have a mine, here we have a highway, so we don't have that problem here. Thanks to that, you can really ride here without DB killers, no problem.
Thanks to the highway, I also liked how quickly you can get here, you know, from the capital, but also from many parts of the country. You can really get here in just a few hours, right?
Yes, exactly. The highway triangle here, A4, A1. It's a great spot, like you said, easy to get to Wrocław, Krakow. For now, there's still a bit of an issue with Łódź, but that'll get better.
Where did this come from? Where did the idea come from? Tell us from the beginning.
You know what, maybe
just the short version? Otherwise we'd be here for an hour.
Yeah, let's speed it up a bit. Otherwise, this could take a while. But what exactly? Well, you know, it's always been about cars for me, right? If not quads, then some car or something like that and so on. And the idea for the lot? Nothing new. We didn't invent anything. We didn't discover America. It's a simple situation. Kamil grew up. He had a knack for riding. Together with a few coaches, we said, what should we do? Let's put him on a motorcycle. He got on the motorcycle and rode. The first one was a 125. That's how it started, in short. Wanting to develop Kamil's skills and so on so that he could become the rider he is now, someone suggested the KSB school in Spain to us. So in the winter, a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, flew there for the first time. And then we ended up staying for 4 years on exactly the kind of training ground that we are looking at and talking about right now. Like I said, we went there, saw it, and saw those Kayo bikes. These are small machines, but they are a bit underrated because the riding position is just like on a big racing motorcycle, right? So it's an awesome machine for training, and all you really need is a stretch of flat asphalt.
Yes. And that's what I saw in the photos because it's my first time here, but I've been following the whole thing. I was really impressed because there are places in Poland where something like this happens, but objectively speaking, this place just screams professionalism, and especially the approach here, in my opinion, that's boldness, and I respect it. Because in a country where motorcycles aren't that popular and motorsport isn't that developed, it's really something. You went all out to lease the land, lay down asphalt, and do it so well that there are locker rooms, facilities, and I can see that this is something that's just going to keep developing.
Yes, exactly. We really wanted to create, you know what, 100%, even 101% a motorcycle place, because like you said, we're all part of this motorcycle community. Well, I wouldn't quite agree with you there that not enough is happening. For the past few years, things have really been picking up pit bikes, pit bike racing, 300cc racing, and so on. So it's heading in a really great direction, not just limiting ourselves to Poznan, but for all of this to work and make sense, there have to be places to train. Because, here at low speeds in second gear, with our tips, you can work on your riding position, get comfortable accelerating, build up your skills, and then transfer that to the track, whether it's a karting track or later full-size circuit. At first, we were renting in Katowice. It was much smaller. It was only 2,000 square meters, and there was a manhole, so it wasn't really that great. And after running it for 3 years in Katowice, we gained experience and already knew what it should look like in the future.
From my perspective, because I won't hide it, I've been observing, just as you said, you could say that this explosion has been going on for 3, 4, 5 years, all thanks to pit bikes and many people like you who went to countries like Spain and Italy, saw how it's done there, and started implementing it in Poland. But I haven't seen a place yet where the square would be so, I don't know, maybe you can correct me, because maybe I'm uninformed, where there is such a well thought out square and such a large number of exercises we can do on motorcycles.
Yes, I have no need to take you out. What should I tell you? It's just...
You don't have to be modest.
Well, we just went all out. Yes, we said if we're going to do this from scratch, because we really did start from scratch here. The city of Gliwice, as you said, rented us this area for a very long period of time, and thanks to that we were able to make it happen here.
Thank you, city of Gliwice.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much. And when we were doing this with Kamil, we were wondering about things like what size, how, and so on. All of this was growing inside us. And as we were cleaning up, leveling things out, and so on, our conviction grew even more. We realized and discovered that if we poured quite a large section, because here we have 4,500 square meters of asphalt, so that's what you were just talking about and looking at a moment ago. It's great that we can also divide this area into two parts. It's so big that, for example, on one side, people can ride much faster, more professionally, while on the other side, at the same time, kids, women, or those just starting out can ride and they don't get in each other's way.
What I didn't finish saying earlier is that in photos, this area looks smaller than it actually is in reality. Because when we drove up here, we saw, hey, this is a huge area. But once you start riding the motorcycle, you stop looking around at all the space around you and just focus on the pylon, the riding line, or the exercise. Then suddenly, it turns out that there really is a whole lot of space. You're saying that 12 experienced riders can easily train here at the same time?
Yes, I think so. It all depends, on our mindset, on what's in our heads and so on. If we open up the throttle, a dozen or so people can easily ride here at once, keep their distance from each other safely and so on.
So who can come here? Are you open on specific days at specific hours? How does it work?
Yes, exactly. The opening hours are on Facebook, of course.
They probably change sometimes.
No, very rarely. We actually want to make it permanent. We want to make it permanent so that no one has to ask again in a year or two and so on. We only don't work on Mondays and Wednesdays. We decided to leave those days for group and individual meetings with Kamil because on the other days of the week, we're here, yes. As for the equipment, you started talking about the equipment. Yes, exactly. Also drawing a lot from our own experience and observing what they do in Spain and so on. We have a very wide range of motorcycles. We don't focus...
That's what we can ride here.
Yes, exactly. We don't focus only on cardio. Obviously, it's quite physical, I would say, very demanding in terms of athleticism.
I'll try to bend something there.
Athletically and so on. Yes, but that's exactly the point. You can do that here, but above all, we prefer small engine capacities. Yes, let's start with that. So basically, all the 150cc pit bikes, all the 250cc up to 300cc quad only only prefer these small engine capacities, not the big ones, because this isn't the place for them.
For those who don't know, when you're at the limit of grip, it doesn't matter what engine size you have. And here you can actually try riding at that grip limit a bit. So, to wrap up the topic of motorcycles who can come here, as we discussed, anyone.
Everyone can come. Listen, we get questions, for example, because I think we're the only ones in Poland who fully gear up kids, right? A complete outfit and a one-piece suit, which often makes dads say, wow, I don't even have one like that. And I say, well, I figured you don't, but your child is dressed like that here.
And there are outfits for adults too.
For adults, you know what? We have something to try for the first time, because honestly, it's hard to manage. The range is just too big and so on. We dress kids in every size of shoes, gloves, helmet, and above all the suit. And who can come? Like I said, everyone. And when it comes to kids, people often ask us, at what age? Well, we answer differently. It's not about age, but whether they can ride a bike. If a child can ride a bike, they can ride a motorcycle with us. So we've already had 5-year-olds. It has happened.
That's world class. If you're 5 years old and you ride a motorcycle a bit, then maybe you could grow up to be like Kamil.
I think Kamil could have developed much earlier, because if someone had shown me something like this when Kamil was 5, and we were just playing around a bit on a pocket bike, Kamil was already doing well, but no one showed me a place like this, not even anywhere in Europe, right? If someone showed me this now, and my child was 5 years old and passionate about it, I would want to push my child into this. So yes, absolutely. I think someone could become like Kamil much earlier, right?
And can people ride their own motorcycles here?
Yes, of course. You know, as we've been discussing with the development of pit bikes and so on, we had to add this to our offer, because we can't make it so that, oh no, you can only ride on ours, for example. I don't know whether it's bigger or smaller, and that on ours, no, it's now officially included in the price list that we allow people with their own small capacity bikes onto our lot.
So on big motorcycles rather.
No, we don't prefer that, you know, because here we have fun in second gear, and that's more than enough. In second gear, right? So really there's no point in using a liter bike or a 600 here. No, it's not recommended.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now you can keep an eye on him and wink if he's saying it right. How are you?
Very well. I think I'm in my favorite place.
Who will you be when you grow up? Who would you like to be?
I've already grown up a bit, but when I get a little older, I think I'd at least like to be at the Old World Championships. And if not a world champion,
Okay, you still need to get a bit older.
I hope not too much.
You're aging well. You're young at heart. If you claim you're old, I like how you ride a motorcycle.
You like it or you want me to talk about it?
I like how you ride a motorcycle, and I wanted you to tell us what you like most about riding a motorcycle.
What do I like most? Pushing my limits to the maximum, searching for the edge, and above all, riding at the front end limit. Yes, that's what I like the most. I think that's my biggest strength. That I can just feel it all the way to the end. I like to lean in hard, and I like to play at being Marc Marquez. I have to admit that.
I've seen quite a lot of motorcycle stuff in my life, but even for me, it's impressive when I see... I'm not even talking about Kayo. Closing the front is a bit of a trick, but it really shows that it can be mastered and shows how I handle it. But when I just saw you on the 300 a moment ago, that was masterful. Really tight. And the way that 300 goes, the front just sometimes bounces a little, but there's no drama at all. Smoothness, right? That's the key to success.
Yes, exactly. Smoothness. Our movements have to be synchronized, the position in the perfect spot, and only then can we do things like controlling the front end. Getting up from places where we should already be lying on the asphalt, and doing things that seem impossible or unsalvageable.
What surprised me today is that you have to be much more precise on these motorcycles. You'd think it's just a toy and you can just go full throttle and lean it over. It turns out that here, with the throttle, which theoretically doesn't have much power, you actually have to be much more precise than on a big motorcycle. Is that right, or am I wrong?
It is because the speeds are lower, the motorcycles are more sensitive, and it's mainly a single cylinder and so on. And it teaches us kind of humility with the throttle. We can't, as you said, make sudden movements and so on because we lose control. The motorcycle no longer goes where we want it to, so we have to perfect everything. However, in my opinion, this translates really well to big motorcycles because while it's not as sensitive there and maybe not as immediately noticeable, it's just as necessary as it is here during these exercises.
Let's talk about endurance races because, well, that's where you were. What did you ride on? On the Versace Cup, right?
Yes.
I can tell by your suit.
17th, yes.
How did it go for you there?
The Versace Cup was really great. It was another time I was thrown into the deep end because I was totally new. On all the tracks, it was really great. Once I finished on the podium in a race in the rain. That was the first race. Overall, I finished 7th in the general classification, so I think that's very good for a debut season.
Yeah, sure. And you progressed pretty quickly, so to speak, because, I mean, we know the Polish racing teams here, we're all hungry for success. And you very quickly ended up on an endurance motorcycle and made it onto the podium.
Yes, exactly. After the R6 Cup, I moved to Spain, to the Spanish Championships, and at the same time, I was already racing on 1000. And in fact, the plan was to compete in the Endurance World Championship, where after less than a year at the 8-hour race in Volkswagen, we made it onto the World Championship podium, which I think is my greatest achievement so far.
Well, that's definitely something to applaud. Bravo. And now it's a pity that the season got a bit complicated for us, but now you're getting on the BML for.
Yes, exactly. On that one, on that yellow and black beast, I'm very optimistic because these are still new opportunities for me to grow. The team is very well prepared, and we have a lot of potential with this motorcycle, right? So I think that this combination could be very positive.
You rode during the Pirelli tests. So it's not like you just joined the team and didn't get to ride at all. At least there were some tests, right?
Yes, there were tests. We rode for 2 days. I'm also really hungry for riding, So I was really excited for the first race. But as you said, unfortunately, plans got complicated and now we have to wait a bit longer. What really surprised me was that we rode for 2 days with almost no breakdowns. I was able to use all that time to focus on the bike and getting used to the Pirelli tires and the BMW motorcycle.
I'll let him assemble this bike for me sometime too. When you look at your friends who train alongside you in Poland and whom you regularly meet, do you genuinely think you'll soon have other guys nipping right at your heels?
Of course, absolutely. Everyone, especially the younger generation, is progressing very, very quickly. I notice it myself as well with the kids and young people I work with on the track where we do some really great training sessions. I think so. And that's what I want as well, because I believe that the more of us that are at a high level, the more this sport will develop in Poland, which I think we really need. So I'm always willing to help, to train together, because I believe we have to push that bar higher together.
That's exactly the key change in mentality. I'm really glad you said that. I didn't have to say it myself, that the times when you had to race for trophies in Poland are probably over. Now you have to start racing to catch up with the faster ones, right?
Exactly, that vision has to be much broader, right? We can't have tunnel vision thinking only about trophies. It has to be a broader perspective.
I won't compete in that class because I won't be 8th and get a trophy there.
Yes, exactly. I'll just be 8th, and I think you can see that in our facility and what we do, right? That, we do this out of passion and we have a broader vision.
Yeah. I'll keep coming here. I liked it. I didn't believe it. I mean, it's like this. As a lazy person, and I'm saying this to all the lazy people out there who think, whatever, I'll just ride a motorcycle and that's it. Small, silly bikes, why would I even bother with that? My butt hurts a bit because it's bruised, but, well, I got hooked. Because the first impression is, damn, what's going on? But then, once you stop thinking about the bike starting to slide and just start having fun with those exercises in the lot, that's how it is. Yeah, you're already there, right?
Exactly.
I won't finish the highway. I'll be here on Thursday, Wednesday, the day before Wednesday, on Monday, sometime.
Come by whenever you want.
Thanks. Because my wrist is messed up? Yeah, from here. I really like, because it didn't get recorded earlier when I said it, I really like the trick with the smoking slider. When you go sideways, Kajo, I'm following you. I look endo, smoke, but I think he's hitting it with the birch.
Actually, I don't know what sliders are made of. We need to ask Robert Ozon.
No, it's not birch. It's some kind of special wood, but that's just brilliant. You go sideways, Kajo, and there's smoke behind you, and it looks like it's just coming out from under the wheel. Yeah. If you want to see it, all you have to do is come over, watch, and then try riding yourself. Take care.
Hey!
The fact that everything is fine with the flints is proven by the equipment they've built for riding. A quad with a Hayabusa engine. Sounds logical. I recommend these guys.